Welcome everyone to another episode of Thrive Again, Your Relationship Podcast. We're very excited to join you for a short and sharp episode today.
Yeah, we're going to do a punchy one, and it's about a topic that might be familiar to you and to many people, but whether we apply these things or not is another thing.
Yeah, it's a good reminder, I think, this one, and it's something that you probably forget, like Michael said. So let's get straight into it. And today we are talking about love languages. Now, you might have heard about love languages before, but maybe not paid any attention. But ultimately, an amazing man called Gary Chapman has done a lot of research in this area, and he has come to a conclusion or to an understanding that there is 5 love languages that we have.
Yeah, and what are love languages, I guess, is the first thing that we need to clear up, because sometimes we just think we can make up our own love languages and just completely ignore what Gary's saying. And really this is based on a lot of research and a lot of understanding between dynamics of human beings and communication. So it is actually attributed to our upbringing and our environment, and really what we're talking about here is the essence in how we receive love and how we give love as well. So let's see if we can maybe pull apart each of the love languages, and that way you can get an understanding as to maybe what you are if you haven't done the quiz. If you haven't done the quiz before, it's worth doing. Yeah, it's worth doing, and we can leave that in the show notes.
Yeah, it's just a free quiz online, probably takes 5 minutes max, and goes through, and it helps you identify what your love language is. And like Michael said, a love language is how we give and receive love, but it's more importantly how we receive the love. Because often in our relationship, I was giving love to you and how I wanted to receive it, but you weren't receiving the love I was giving, because it wasn't your love language. So it was like I was speaking a different language to you in that space.
Yeah, it's like barking up the wrong tree. You're putting all your energy in and you feel like you're not really, in effect, getting any reciprocal love back, or, you know, you're feeling like you're undervalued in some way, or they're not really kind of appreciating you. But really what's happening is you're just you've got your wires crossed, and you're operating on your field and they're operating on theirs, and you're not really understanding each other in terms of how you receive love.
So for example, with us, let's start, I guess, firstly going through what are the 5 different love languages.
Yeah.
And maybe if you haven't done the quiz, you can maybe guess what your love language is when we go through each of those.
Yeah, so the first one that we'll speak about is words of affirmation. And for those of you who haven't studied the love languages before, they might sound a little bit odd, these titles, but words of affirmation is simply, you know, words that have meaning, and they're like a verbal acknowledgement of affection. Like, I love you, you know, words of appreciation, verbal encouragement, and even like texting, you know, and social media, using social media to kind of message other people is actually, it also impacts and just shows affection to that particular person. So that's words of affirmation.
Yeah, so words of affirmation probably needs to go a little bit more than just I love yous, I think. Like for a person who has the love language of words of affirmation, it's important to expand on that. I feel like in our couple work with our couples, we go into maybe why you love them. You know, what are some things that you love about them? What are some of the things that you appreciate about them? So often the people with words of affirmation love languages potentially weren't told this much as a child. They weren't reassured or confirmed that they were loved. So therefore, they potentially seek that in their partner. Now, this is not always, this is not gospel, but this is what we've come across in our work and we've seen as well. So yeah, please, if your partner has this love language, or if you do, you'll know that adding that little bit extra to the why. Thank you so much for being a present dad. I can see the kids adore you. That might mean a lot to that person.
Yeah, lots of encouragement, as it says, affirmation. So can you affirm the things that they're doing really well? You know, and of course, just really listening to them intently and actively is going to be really helpful in this as well. So yeah, just dropping little post-it notes and things like that is going to just help them to just really melt. Like, they're going to feel so safe and secure when you offer this to them.
All right, so that's one. The next one of the love languages is physical touch.
Yeah, so physical touch is just as it says, you know, like some people just really value having that physical connection and that physical intimacy. And that can just be like hugging, kissing, holding hands, showing affection in different ways. That's physical. And that's a priority for them. So if that's their love language, then touch is so important, and it can be just glances, like just as you walk past, just touching them on the shoulder. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or overly sexual or anything like that. This is more just to help them feel safe and secure and warm and nurtured and complete.
Yeah. So just a hand on the shoulder, a hand on their leg. All of those sorts of things are really helpful for a person with physical touch. And again, potentially they maybe did or they didn't receive that as a child. Maybe they did have a very loving, affectionate mum and dad who gave them all of that. And then they still seek that in their relationships. Or potentially they didn't receive that, and that means a lot to them as well. So yeah, physical touch is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I think more than that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is receiving gifts. Yeah. So
This is a different one, isn't it? Because I don't think we've come across many couples where this has been predominant. But yeah, receiving gifts is a love language that people do love. And that's just making that extra time to think about another person. Like, it's the thoughtfulness that goes behind the gift. And I think that's the important part of this love language.
Yeah, it's kind of like a gesture of love. And so by offering a thoughtful gift or being thoughtful in nature, that helps them to feel loved and appreciated. So small things, really go a long way. And it doesn't necessarily mean, always that you have to go out and just buy expensive and lavish gifts, right? It's just being really thoughtful of them and maybe picking a flower or, just giving them gifts in some way that helps them to feel special.
Buying a little chocolate, leaving it with a note, those sorts of things. It's the effort that goes behind, I think, the receiving gifts that's really important for those people who do have that love language.
Yeah, and it can be a tricky one. Like, this is a good example of why in love languages we have this problem when ours is one and our partner's the other. Because if you don't really value receiving gifts, then you're going to find it really hard to have this in the forefront of your mind for your partner if they have that as a primary love language. We had this issue and had to help a couple through this because one of them was from Germany, and in Germany, gifts are a big part of that person's upbringing. And so that's how she felt really loved and appreciated a lot of the time. It was really a token and a gift of, for them. And so, yeah, her partner really was finding it hard to wade through this.
Because it was a completely opposite, because he didn't value gifts at all. He would actually, as a child, he would say, wouldn't he? He was like, I didn't even want Christmas presents because I kind of got stuff that I needed all throughout the year. So he didn't value that. So for him, it was challenging. His partner's like, just buy me something. So, yeah, just be mindful of if it's the actual gesture behind the gift, not so much the gift itself.
Yeah, thoughtfulness comes to mind.
Yeah.
All right, next one is quality time. So quality time, again, is just as it sounds. And quality time together, that is, right? So one-on-one time and quality time. Because, sometimes maybe you work in business together or work together, and that's time together, but is it quality? Yeah. So
and it's the presence and the undivided attention in this time that I think those people with this love language crave. It's like putting everything aside. You're the priority. I'm with you, and that's all I care about right now. So, it's coming more and more rare in this society is to give each other this time. And particularly if you've got that love language, it's even more challenging, right? Because our phone is such a big distraction, or social media, or our work, our laptops, our emails, everything else becomes like a distraction. So yeah, if you or your partner have this love language, put everything else aside and just give them that particular undivided attention.
Nailed it. No need to expand on that one, I don't think. But the final one we're going to discuss is acts of service. So acts of service, it was a funny one when I first time I ever read this years and years ago, because I'm thinking, really? People like receive love in other people doing things for them? And yeah, I actually ended up marrying someone who who has this as a primary love language, so I had to learn.
Actions speak louder than words.
That's right. It's all about actions. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, really, can you alleviate the pressure for your partner? You know, can you contribute to some of the tasks? And I don't know, what are some of the things that you love for me to do that's really helpful, and it just shows love and appreciation?
Yeah, I guess as you can see, acts of service is my love language. And when you peg the washing out without being asked.
Without being asked.
When you hear the sound that the washing machine's done, and you just go and start pegging it out, I'm like, oh, he loves me. I'm so lucky. Silly, hey? I know it sounds so silly, but if you have this love language, you will know what I mean when it just means so much. It just kind of melts my heart that he's actually taken that little bit of effort to see that pegging out the washing releases some pressure, and it kind of shows that he's supporting me and loving me in who I am. So, yeah, acts of service, it could be quite simple. It could just be making a cup of tea. It could literally be just...
like fixing something that's broken, or picking up the groceries.
Yep.
Things like that are quite practical. But also, I think you can incorporate things like just giving your partner a massage, right? And even though that is like a physical touch, it's still an act of service, right? So these can actually lay over and cross over each other as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was interesting when we first started, and we'll talk a little bit about, I guess, how we kind of were speaking different languages in our love languages, right? Because my love language acts of service, and I was doing a lot of acts of service for Michael because I thought that that's how he received love as well. So I would cook dinner, and I would clean the house, and I would do the washing, and I would change the sheets, and do the groceries and all these things, but it just didn't ever seem to be like really received like how I would expect you to receive it. And I felt like I really enjoyed
that you did those things, of course,
yeah,
but did it feel like love and appreciation? No, actually, what would feel like love and appreciation to me, because my primary love language is quality time, would be for you to actually just put all of that stuff down and come and just relax with me on the balcony, and let's just have a chat.
It's interesting, isn't it? We completely crossed paths there. We're completely on different sides of the fence, because me doing the jobs actually probably showed you that I didn't love you, because your love language was quality time. So we can see how this happens in relationships. We completely miss each other. We're like, what's going on? So that's hence why we do this with our couples, and why it's important to know this and actually keep it in mind when you're with your partner in a relationship. Yeah,
it takes some real conscious attention, because our natural default is to just go back to what we love, how we love to receive. So, just remembering that this is just another way of connecting with your partner. This isn't the be all and end all and the thing that's going to heal your relationship, but it's certainly going to make some real inroads into just finding more connection, especially if you've, kind of been together for a long time, and you might be just missing each other.
So there's a couple of benefits also, obviously, just from filling each other's love cups up, but also it really does help to improve the communication. It helps to enhance your connection, to get that connection back, that maybe you were missing each other. It actually helps to reduce conflicts, because you feel more appreciated and you feel like they're making an effort, because they're consciously choosing to do this for you. And it can also help support that longevity of a relationship. Those little things can go a long way. So I guess it's doing maintenance on the relationship in some capacity.
Yeah.
So,
So that's what we wanted to go over today. It's a short and sharp one. If you haven't done the quiz, go and do it and get your partner to do it as well. It's quite easy to do, doesn't take long, and you're going to find a better map of your partner if you decide to do this.
I encourage you, once you've done the quiz, to sit down together and actually say, hey, what are some of the things I can do to fill that for you? Well, how do I meet that love language, and what would you like me to do? What specific things? So then you can get really clear as well, and just keep them in the back of your mind always.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, if you have any issues around this, or maybe you wanted to explore going deeper in reconnecting with your partner because maybe you've drifted apart over a period of time, or maybe stress and kids are really bringing tension into the relationship, make sure you just contact us for a clarity call, because in 40 minutes we can actually pull apart exactly where the brokenness exists, what you actually need to do to kind of mend the hurt and the disconnect, and finally, and obviously give you some strategies and tools to help with that. So why wouldn't you do that? You know, it's a great opportunity to connect with us. You probably feel like you maybe even know us if you've heard a couple of episodes by now. We're not going to bite your head off. We're not crazy. We're not weird. We just simply just want to help relationships to heal. We're a little bit weird.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode.